Good afternoon, Wilson. Leonard Parker here. Hope you had a great weekend. Just getting back to you, I had a chance to look at your website over the weekend, and I wanted to make this video audit so that you can see exactly what I'm seeing as I talk to the different issues. Now, just a heads up, this video will probably end up being very long. Well, not very long, but fairly long. So in case you're short on time or just kind of want the key highlights, I'll summarize here at the beginning of the video. So there are three areas, and you'll see me, I'm referring to my notes that I took for your site. There are three areas that I saw as areas of improvement for your website. The first is on-page SEO, and this is typically what I call the boring part of SEO, where you're going through the title tags, you're going through the meta descriptions, all of these different things, and making sure that they're there, first off, making sure that they're not duplicated across pages, and then making sure that they are optimized for your target keywords. So I did see areas where you can clean those up, and also, in addition to meta tags, also cleaning up broken links on your website, I think will really help you just kind of have your website in order, working order. That way, it's well optimized for the Google search engine. Uh, the second area is off-page SEO, and quite simply, I highly recommend that we get more backlinks to your website. So more websites that are linking back to you would really help your organic visibility, because not only is our backlinks, the number of backlinks are a key part of the Google ranking algorithm, but if you're getting links from very good websites, that's another source of traffic to your website, and that could obviously over time increase your traffic numbers. And the third area is technical SEO, and these are things like your website speed. I notice here, I'm here on your homepage, I'm using the Google Chrome browser. You're not using what's called an SSL certificate, so it has a big nasty message that says this site is not secure. So cleaning things like those up would really go a long way in not only your SEO, but also improving your trustworthiness. If someone who's never heard of you, never heard of your brand, visits your website. Now that's the summary. Now I'm going to go into detail about each of these areas, and then towards the end of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about conversion optimization. So first, starting with on-page SEO, the boring part, the dull part of SEO. So your website, I say you have a good number of pages here. So I'll start at the top with page titles. So page titles, if you just hover over any tab on your website, so this little box that popped up here, the money speakeasy, reject the status quo. So that's your page title. And I noticed on several pages that they're missing. So pretty much Google just pulls something from the content, which is obviously isn't optimal. And you do have page titles that are duplicated. So you have the same title on multiple pages. And one rule of thumb is that you always want to have something that's unique for each page. You can think about this as chapters in a book. So each chapter should be different or should have a different title on your website. Other than that, I saw that some page titles were either too long or too short. There is a sweet spot how long you want your page title to be. So at least 30 characters, so that it's not too short, and no longer than 65 characters. And if it's over 65 characters, you run this issue. So I'm just do a real quick, make sure I have your URL right here. dmoneyspeakeasy.com. I just want to show you an example of some titles that might be considered too long. Let's see here. So of course, when you search, they're on the first page. So good job there. So here's an example. Let's see here. Just saw it. So emergency. Stop what you're doing if you don't have a what? So that's what happens when your page title is too long. Obviously, it's not terrible if there's an issue here or there, but if you're really trying to get someone to click on this page, you want to make sure that they know what they're clicking on before they visit your site, and it's not what they're looking for, then they bounce off immediately. So that's when a title tag is too long. Now, a short title tag, I would say it's hard to say, but something like, let's see here, credit. So I know this is a tag page, one of your tag pages, but there's definitely a way you can optimize that better for SEO if it's too short. So you could add in there credit card, loans, really add more alternative keywords so that it can pick up on different searches that people may have when looking for someone who provides services as you provide. So that would be my recommendation on the title tags. Now, meta descriptions. And meta descriptions, there's this little snippet here under, so where it starts, for most of the country outside of a few major metro areas, cars are the primary mode of transportation. That's your meta description. And I'm going to zoom here a bit so make sure you can see what I'm seeing. So your meta descriptions, so again, some pages were missing these, so very important that you add those. Otherwise, Google will pull directly from your content. And I've seen examples where they just pull something that doesn't make any sense when it's left on its own. So you want to make sure that you specify that meta description. I also saw issues where there are duplicate meta descriptions. So there are two pages that had the same meta description. And that's not a very serious issue, but kind of the rule of thumb, the same as page titles. You want to make sure that each page has a unique meta description. And then similar also to your page titles, I saw issues where the meta description was either too short or too long. And here's a perfect example when the meta description is too long. You see here how it ends with the 3 dots, the 3 ellipses. So you want to make sure that your page meta descriptions are under 156 characters. And then I would say you want to make sure they're at least 70 characters. And in your meta descriptions, you can think about this as like a mini advertisement for someone to click that page. And you want to make sure that you include your target keywords so that that particular phrase will be embolded when someone searches it. And you also want to include power words, like words that are really going to trigger someone's emotions. Think about this. This is like a mini ad for that page on your website. And then last, but definitely probably the most important, you want to include some call to action. So a simple call to action would be click here to learn more about auto loans, or click here to learn how you can conquer your 401k. Very important that you include that call to action so that someone knows what the next step should be when they view your search result in the Google search engine. So those are page titles and meta descriptions. Now I'm going to go back to your website. You also want to pay attention to your header tags. And so the most important header tags for SEO are your header 1 and your header 2 tags. So your header 1 tag, you really can't see this on the front end. But it's basically if we're looking at an outline, right? Your H1 tag would be the title of that outline. And you have to think each page has their own outline. And so that H1 tag is very important for SEO because when the Google crawlers, when they review your website, the H1 tag is like the title of that website or that page. It's going to tell them exactly what that page is about. And, this H1 tags are probably just as important as page titles. And sometimes you will even have your H1 tag be the same as your page title. There's nothing wrong with that. Your H2 tag are your main bullet points on each page. So, we're going back to the outline example. Your H1 is your title. Your H2s are your point A, point B, point C, and so forth. You also want to make sure that those are optimized with SEO keywords. So whatever that page is about, you want to make sure you include your keyword or alternative keywords in those H2 tags. And just looking at your website, there are pages where H1 tags are missing. So that's a big area of opportunity there. because it's almost like you're telling Google, hey Google, I don't know what this web page is about, figure it out for me. Which, these are robots, computers, they're not going to always do a good job of that. There are also pages where there are multiple H1 tags, which is a big no-no, because just kind of going back to the outline example, you would never have an outline with two titles, right? It always should be one title. And then for H2 tags, there are some pages that were missing them, so you want to make sure that you go back and add those in. And then finally, for your on-page SEO, your images. Now, images, they have something called an alt tag, which when the idea was originally constructed, alt tags pretty much tell people who are unable to view your image, whether they may be visually impaired, they just can't see the image, or they're using a slow internet connection where the image won't load. It tells the user exactly what that image is about. Now, there is some SEO benefit here, because if the image alt tag is properly optimized, it's going to include the keyword, it's going to include some context about that image. And the benefit of that is that's another way that the Google crawlers can figure out what your page is about by looking at which keywords and which phrases you're using in your images for your image alt tag. So very important that every image on your website has an alt tag. And if you're looking at an 80-20 approach, I would say always make sure that at least one image on each page of your website has a keyword optimized alt tag. And then one last point on keyword optimization before I go into off-page SEO. You want to make sure that for each of your page titles, you are targeting a keyword. So this is your homepage. So I would say, reject the status quo, the money speak easy. That's great. But you might want to include some keyword or key phrase there. So you might have to shorten this or take out part of this, but whatever your primary keyword, your primary service, your primary offering, whatever that is, you want to include that here in your homepage title tag. Now, just looking at some of your other pages, so this is your course page. You want to do something more descriptive than homepage. So the name of your course is Partners in Wealth. Learn to live financially free. Something about financial freedom course, or course to get to financial freedom would be a good page title, a good phrase to add here. And then looking at your financial coaching program, this is actually a really good title tag. My only recommendation, if you do have enough space, would be to add, maybe the demographic that you're targeting here would be a good add. But again, if you don't have enough, sufficient space here, remember there's a character limit. This would be good enough. Now, moving on to off-page SEO, and really my recommendation there was you simply need more backlinks, more websites linking to your website. And so here I pulled up your website in a tool called Ahrefs. You'll see here the tool is able to find 7 websites that are linking back to you. And this might not be 100% accurate. None of these tools are, but it gives me a general idea on who's linking back to you and how they're linking back to you. So these are some really good websites. You see here, let me zoom in to make sure you can see. You'll see here these tools, they are the DR here, that stands for domain rating. And that's on a scale of 0 to 100. And 0 would be a very weak website. 100 would be a very powerful website. And I can see here you have some really good ones, teachable.com, Student Loan Hero, and so forth. So you want to make sure that, you have more websites like that linking back to you. So I believe it was a coaching page on maybe it was your speakers page. Let's see. Speaking. So I'm bringing this up because I think these would be very low hanging fruit as far as the start of your link building strategy. So I would try to go out. I didn't see all of these websites here in this list. So I would try to go and see if you could get a link back from each of these websites to your website. I know, something like NASDAQ.com, that might be easier said than done, but, it doesn't hurt to try. And then I saw that you also talked to, you've done speaking engagements with several very high authority organizations. I'm actually involved with the Junior Achievement here in Houston, and I'm an MLT alum, so I was excited to see that. But go to these different organizations and, simply, via email, just via a phone call, you can try to see if they can link back to your website. Because again, SEO or backlinks, not just a SEO benefit, but it does help you get more traffic to your website. So definitely doesn't hurt to try. So that's one low-hanging fruit strategy. And then another strategy, I would look at starting off would be, I want to kind of go in line with FinCon and say that there's no competitors, there's just collaboration, because there are enough people in the world who need financial help, that there's enough clients to go around. But what I would say is that these other firms, other professionals who are offering similar services, the simple fact is that you are competing with them in the Google search rankings, on social media and other platforms, and getting that traffic back to your website. So if there are people in your space who maybe target your niche or your demographic, and they're doing a great job with backlinks, a very good strategy is just to see what they're doing, seeing what type of content they're using to generate those backlinks, and then just pretty much duplicate that process. So highly recommended. That's something we can discuss. If you do know some competitors that are in your space, but definitely I would look at what they're doing to develop your link building strategy. And then, before I go on to technical SEO, I did want to make a mention about your content generation. And this touches on-page SEO. So once you post content to your website, it should be optimized for on-page. But good content definitely makes link building easier because, one, you have an asset that, if it's really good, it would generate backlinks without you even doing outreach. And then number two, it's almost an asset you can use to get your foot in the door. So let's say, for example, if you're looking for a backlink from Operation Hope, you can reach out to the coordinator there and say, hey, I produced this great piece of content. Check it out. I'm happy to generate similar type of content for your website. And that's just an example, but it definitely helps when you're doing outreach. And content doesn't necessarily have to be blogging. It can be if you want to do video regularly, if you want to start podcasting. These are different types of content that can generate backlinks. So now that I made that mention about content, I'll move on to technical SEO. And I'll start here with what I mentioned as one of the low-hanging fruit for your website. So I'm using a tool called GT Metrics. I ran your website through the tool. It's a free tool, so you're free to check it out. And I saw that your website loads at about 4.8 seconds, which is not terrible, but ideally we could cut that down to 2 to 3 seconds. And I see here, one big area of opportunity here is adding the ability for your website to handle browser caching, which basically means if I'm a repeat visitor to your website, the different elements in your website, the images, the forms, and so forth, it would be in my browser cache, so it loads faster. So you can see here, your website has a grade at F, but it is a very high priority item, and it's something that it looks like you're using WordPress. It's something that's fairly simple to do with WordPress. So highly recommended. That's something that we take a look at. The other technical point I wanted to mention was that, as I mentioned before, you're not using an SSL certificate on your website. And this is something that's very easy to fix. You would just call your hosting company and say, hey, I would like to add an SSL protection on my hosting plan. And depending on your hosting provider or domain provider, the rate increase would vary, but it's something that you should be able to set up within an hour. And most hosting companies, they'll do it for you. So all you have to do is let them know that you want it. But again, it does add to your website's credibility. So instead of having this not secure message here, it'll just have your website URL, which HTTPS at the beginning. And yeah, you'll be surprised that something as small as this can deter someone from making a purchase or completing a conversion on your website. So highly recommend it. And with that, I am going to go into the next and final area of opportunity for your website, and that's conversion optimization. And I almost look at conversion optimization as the next step once you have your SEO in order. So let's say we review your website, we made all these SEO fixes. Now you're having regular traffic coming in, and those traffic numbers are going up month by month. You're also getting traffic from backlinks. Now it's time to figure out how you can take the traffic that you're already getting and get them to make conversions more often. So let's say you're getting 100 traffic, 100 visitors per week to your website, and out of those 100 visitors, one person is converting. How can you increase that to 2 or to 3 or even more? And it's easy to see that if you're able to increase your conversion rates from 1% to 3%, that can have a really big impact on your bottom line. So just a few things I noticed. So the first thing, and I'm not able to get it to trigger now, but when I first landed on your website, there was a pop-up there. And I'm not sure on your numbers, on your metrics for that pop-up, but typically it's not good practice to have it pop up immediately. You would want that to pop up maybe, after someone scrolls, 30 to 40% of your page. That way you know that they do have some interest in what you're offering. And that's the perfect opportunity to hit them with that pop-up to get them to join your email list. So just a thought there. But again, if you are getting very good opt-in numbers on that pop-up with it showing up immediately when someone lands their web page, if it's not broke, don't fix it. More video. And I love the video that you are seeing. Yeah, it's here on your coaching page. I love this video. And I would love for you to do something similar on your homepage. Video, I almost look at it as a cheat code for SEO, because once you upload your videos to YouTube, of course, YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google, but Google also owns YouTube. It's a Google property. So, if you're embedding your YouTube videos on different pages on your website, then it will have an SEO benefit for you. And you might have noticed, for different search queries, usually there's going to be how-to queries or queries where you're answering a question. YouTube videos actually show up at the top in a video carousel. So a very important tool to leverage for not only your SEO, but your online marketing. And, I would say, so I would say just, what you're doing here on your coaching landing page, finding other areas, other pages on your website where you can add videos would be highly beneficial for your online visibility. And kind of on that note, I was looking, where's your speaking page? So, obviously you have these trust badges here. You've mentioned the different organizations where you've completed speaking engagements. One idea I had for this page is putting together a mini highlight reel of, you speaking. So I'm sure you all of your speaking experience, there are some points that you really nailed. So putting out a highlight reel and sharing it here on this page, I think would be powerful as far as getting people who visit this page, getting them to contact you for more information. So other than that, one other thing for your conversion optimization, you might want to consider putting some of your lead forms above the fold. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I believe I have an example. That's your home. So this might not be the best example, but if you were able to find a way to put this form above where someone has to scroll and have it fit in with your design, I think that would be really, I'll be interested in testing the impact on your conversions because really, another rule of thumb, the easier you make it for people to subscribe or to request more information, the more likely that they are going to do so. So just, positioning things on a page where they don't have to scroll is a very good variable to test on your key money pages. Overall, I would like to see more graphics and images in your on-page content. You did a good job with this on your homepage, but some of your other pages, I think you could use more images. Obviously, that makes the content more visually appealing, but also gives you else to optimize for. Remember when we talked about optimizing images? That's something else that you can optimize the page for. And if I remember correctly, I think this was a big area of opportunity for your resources page. Yeah, so for freebies and even this checklist, which I think is a great idea, the baby checklist, baby on the way checklist. If you could add a graphic here of expecting mother and her husband, or even of a family with their newborn, I think that would really be a good addition to this lead page. And you can go on Fiverr. You might know a designer who could put something together for you, but something I highly recommend that you add to your page. And then one other thing I noticed, I wasn't sure what's going on, but on some of these pages, click to them, the top navigation disappears. So, what I would recommend is if you could, let's see if I can find. Yeah, I must have clicked out of the home page, but making sure that your top navigation is the same across every page. Because let's say someone, they click on your courses page, but then after thinking about it, after reading through your course page, they decide they actually want one-on-one coaching. So there's no easy way for them to get there just from this page. So they have to go back to your home page, then find a coaching page. So it'd be great if you could make that available to them right from this page. So again, you want to make things as easy as possible for your website visitors. And then lastly, from the pages I saw, I didn't see any testimonials of your work. And I'm sure you do great work for your clients and provide great content, but where's the proof? And that's really, that's huge. And that's stepping outside of SEO, but again, conversion optimization. How can you break down trust barriers? How can you build that camaraderie with your site visitors so that they do want to contact you for more information about your different offerings? So definitely want to add testimonials for each of your offerings onto your website. And so that brings me to the end of the video, Wilson. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to share a Calendly link in my email, but would love to talk shop a little bit more about SEO, what you're doing with your online marketing program, and how we could possibly work together. So if none of those times work, just let me know and we can coordinate via email. Well, thanks, Wilson, and I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Take care.